Welcome to today's market report. European stock markets traded in a mixed fashion on Thursday as investors digested the region's COVID-19 situation ahead of a meeting of EU leaders. DAX in Germany traded 0.1% lower, CAC 40 fell 0.1%, FTSE 100 climbed 0.2%. The main focus for European markets is a virtual meeting between EU leaders to discuss the third wave of COVID-19 cases hitting the region, as well as the associated slow vaccine rollout. The leaders are likely to discuss possible curbs on vaccine exports, a source of tension with the neighbouring UK, whose immunisation programme is more advanced. Germany, France, Italy and the Netherlands have all recently tightened restrictions to combat the increasing number of infections, which are threatening to swamp the region's hospitals. There was some good news for the region as the GfK German Consumer Climate Index came in at -6.2 in April, a small improvement from the -12.9 seen in March, but still indicative of a pessimistic consumer in the region's largest domestic market as lockdowns weigh. Sentiment in the French manufacturing sector stabilized, with the INSEE monthly survey showing sentiment in the sector remained at 98 in March, unchanged from February's figure. In corporate news, AstraZeneca stock rose 0.5% after the drugmaker announced late Wednesday that its COVID vaccine was 76% effective at preventing symptomatic illness, only a slight drop from the 79% level it initially reported after questions were raised by the data used in its US trial. Cineworld stock fell 8.8% after the cinema chain reported a $3 billion loss for 2020 and said it will also ask shareholders to approve a raise in its debt ceiling. H&M stock dropped 1.2% after the Chinese state media signaled out the Swedish retailer on Wednesday for a statement last year in which the company said it was deeply concerned by reports of accusations of forced labor in Xinjiang. Oil prices fell Thursday, revising Wednesday's gain, which came after the container ship got stuck in the Suez Canal, blocking one of the most important supply routes in the world. This passage remains plugged, but demand concerns have returned to the fore. While the focus has been on lockdowns in Europe, crucial developing economies like India and Brazil have also seen rising numbers of COVID-19 cases. Additionally, US crude stocks jumped by 1.9 million barrels last week, according to official data from the EIA. US crude futures traded 1.9% lower at $60.02 per barrel. Brent contract fell 1.6% to $63.36 per barrel. Gold futures fell 0.1% to $1,730.75 per ounce. On the FX front, the GBP-USD pair witnessed some selling during the early European session and dropped to fresh multi-week lows around the 136.70 region. The pair failed to capitalize on its intraday uptick to the 137.05 to 137.10 region, instead met with some fresh supply and now seems set to prolong its short-term bearish trajectory. The US dollar stood tall near 4-month tops amid the upbeat US economic outlook and got an additional boost from a modest uptick in the US Treasury bond yields. This was seen as one of the key factors exerting some downward pressure on the GBP-USD pair. The pound was pressured further by tensions over COVID-19 vaccine supplies. It's worth mentioning that the EU reportedly has threatened to ban exports of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines to countries that have higher vaccination rates, including Britain. This raised the fears that a significant shortage in vaccine supplies could derail the UK government's plan to exit the current lockdown. That said, the UK and the EU have said that they are working together to improve their relationship and expand vaccine supply for all. This, along with a generally positive tone around the equity markets, might hold traders from placing aggressive bullish bets around the safe haven US dollar and help limit further losses for the cable pair. Market participants now look forward to the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey's comments during a virtual panel discussion hosted by the Bank for International Settlements. Later during the early North American session, the release of the final US Q4 GDP print might also provide some impetus. This, along with scheduled speeches by a slew of FOMC members, might influence the US dollar and produce some trading opportunities around the GBP-USD pair. Euro-dollar is in its 2021 lows, gets ready to break below 118, and the dollar was at 92.71. This is today's market news. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.